Hey everybody, May the 4th be with you, or should I say, May the Force be with you always. Welcome to our live stream. We are Eye to Eye Disney Through Our Eyes. I am Kyle. I am part one of the dynamic duo that is Eye to Eye Disney to Our Eyes. When you talk about a duo, usually there's a second person here. There's no one to either side of me right now. But you have just me tonight. Jessica is doing some other things tonight that she is busy with, and I think she's probably been Star Wars out today because today, if you have been living under a rock, it is Star Wars Day, or May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. I almost want to say the Force 4th. All that good stuff in there. So I figured, what better day to get on here and chat about the greatest galaxy far, far away. Talk about the movies, the TV, the stuff coming to the Disney parks, everything in between. Let's talk about it here. Probably mainly centering around the movies and stuff tonight. So we're going to discuss all of that stuff here. And I hope you guys will enjoy being a part of this stream tonight. And I know there's a lot of people tonight that I found out earlier doing a lot of Star Wars related streams. I think at this exact time too. So if you're here, thank you so much for choosing us to be there, because you've got a lot of other choices out there that are great that can just produce just as great of live streams about Star Wars to me, and I appreciate you guys being here. I see a couple of our regulars are already in the chat window right now. Alex, what's up, my man? Good to see you. Happy May the 4th to you. Daniel says happy Star Wars Day as well. Happy Star Wars Day to you, Daniel. Two of our guys that have been here for the long haul with us, whether it be on our Thursday trivia nights, other live streams we do, checking out all the other videos in the comments and stuff. Thank you guys for being here. As always, as we get started tonight, make sure you're smashing that like button. May I quote Disney Dan himself on his stream that I was just on about 30 minutes ago. Force push that like button. It does help push the stream out. It does help get it out to other Star Wars fans so they can join in on the conversation and all that good stuff. Share it out on Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Invite people in to be part of the discussion tonight. It's been a while since we've done a live stream of this sort without trivia attached to it as well. So I kind of like, I'm used to asking you guys, we could turn it into a trivia night. I'm not going to, but we'll save that for Thursday nights. That is the trivia nights there. Alex says, I'm watching The Force Awakens right now on TV. You know, when I decided to do this stream, Alex, I was pretty sure somebody was going to be on here watching a Star Wars film at the same time. And I'm so glad it was you, because you were one of the ones that I pegged would be there at the start of this and watching one at the same time. So that is, hilarious that I actually predicted that, but that it ended up being you as well. And you picked a good one, I think, to watch while we're doing this tonight. So I don't know if you can tell, but I am wearing my Chewbacca shirt tonight. And I think we should address this right out in the open, right at the start, because it is very sad. For those of you who haven't heard, Peter Mayhew, the original actor for Chewbacca, passed away this past week. And it was very sad because that makes, there have been many who have passed away from the Star Wars family, but, some iconic characters, whether it be Leia and Carrie Fisher passing on, whether it be, Kenny Baker and R2-D2, and now Chewbacca. I even saw a picture someone made today of the three of their characters standing together, walking off into the sunset or into the white light, which was very touching. But anyway, so that, there's people giving their eulogies in other ways tonight. So where were you guys when you heard about Peter Mayhew unfortunate passing? Because I was sitting here at home and I saw it come up. I was like, oh my goodness. It's not, I don't want to ever compare somebody's passing to another and say one was greater than the other, but it's hard to get up to the passing of like a Stan Lee. We did a live stream for that one when that one happened, but this one hit me pretty hard because we all love Chewie and we love the guy who brought him to life, Peter Mayhew. So it was sad to lose him as part of the family. In the Star Wars family. So we hope his family and friends and everybody dealing with his loss right now are having a lot more ease now that he is not in pain and suffering from the health problems he had. But anyway, we miss him, and we really we're grateful for what he did for Chewbacca. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt tonight. So I'll get off the sad part, but I did want to come out front and say that right off the start here. Caitlin Granby is in the house. Good to see you, Caitlin. Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. I'm going to just like hashtag this, hashtag that. Alex says, that's a cool shirt with such a great guy. Yeah, so like I was saying, the reason I'm wearing that one tonight. Daniel says, passed away at just 74, gone too soon. It doesn't set, and I know he had some health problems. I will say, personally, I felt like he looked a little bit older than that, and I think that comes from his health issues. But 74 these days, I feel like it's very young to me. I don't, I'm only 32. Well, I'm about to be 32. So I'm halfway there, actually, or, well, somewhat halfway there. So, that just feels really, really young to me now. Michelle Varico's in the house. May the Force be with you, and also with you, and also with you. Every time someone says, may the Force be with you, I have to say, and also with you, like that. I know that's the Catholic thing to do, but it flows so well, and I love it so much. So thanks for joining us, Miss Michelle. I'm glad you're here tonight. So like I said, this will be like a free-form chat here, and we'll discuss things somewhat fluidly, but I have kind of a pathway I want us to follow. I figured we'd go through one of the movies one at a time. We won't spend too long because I don't want to keep you guys for an hour or so, but I want us to kind of maybe step our way through the movies, and I've got a little picture to pull up here on the screen for you guys so you'll know what we're talking about. I'll have to slide this way, actually. I got to get the mirroring right. So we'll talk about the movies, but really, if there's something that you want to talk about, chat, anything like that, make sure you put that in the comments section right now. Michelle says, him, Carrie, and Kenny are gone. Isn't that it's terrible to lose anybody, but to lose a group now as iconic as that, oh man, it just hits you right in the guts, doesn't it? Daniel says, are you going to make Jessica watch the holiday special soon? Now, Daniel, that's a great question. And it's even more of a great question because I have not seen it. And I know that's a bit of a shock, but I have yet to watch the holiday special. But I've heard it's epic and its pop culture lore is quite incredible. So maybe one day we'll both sit down and watch it together. I have to temper how much I give Jessica to watch because I don't want to run her off. And I get the feeling that the holiday special would just turn her off. And she is a fledgling Star Wars fan and is launching into that fandom. I don't want to scare her off too much. I saw Peter Mayhew at one of the Star Wars celebrations I went to. You actually I forgot you lived. Did you go to the Orlando one, Alex? Because you live down in Florida, correct? I think that's, if I have that correct. Yeah, there was also somebody else I know who posted the picture today at a, not a Comic-Con, but some similar type of convention here in Atlanta and got to meet Peter Mayhew. It's one of those things that you have a sense of regret if you don't know them personally because you would always think you would like to shake hands with this person, and then you'll never get the chance to. So it's really sad. That's why I'm sad, is I never got to see how tall that guy was, and that would be really cool to shake the hand of Chewbacca. Alex says, yes, he went to the one in Orlando. I hope to one day go to a Star Wars celebration, wherever it is. Maybe they can bring one to it. Well, in Atlanta, yeah. I saw... we already covered that one there. Yes. Okay, so I think we're caught up now. So, here's what I thought we'd do. We'll start with the very beginning of the story. And no, I'm not talking about A New Hope. We'll get to that one, but I did have I have this little application that I like to use on here. Let me make sure I bring this up. And we'll start with the very beginning of the story as we know it. And that is with episode 1. I got to remember to lean this. I'll actually lean this way just so that you guys don't have to stare at me, half of me the entire time. Even though that's probably what you want. Episode 1. All right. So, how about this? Again, we're doing this all impromptu tonight. And as we go through this again, guys, make sure you're smashing the like button, the share button, all that kind of stuff. Invite friends in. You tell me episode 1. What your thoughts are about it. Things you like, you don't like. I know that's very vague. Anything that you want to share about episode 1 tonight, good or bad, but let's keep it nice. Let me know about it in the comment section right now. But specifically, I want to figure out how I ask this without making it too convoluted for you guys. 'Cause I want to give you a simple answer to be able to give. Maybe you tell me if this movie... Well, no, I don't like that one. Just, how about this? You tell me where this ranks for you in all of the Star Wars movies. So you will have currently 10 movies. You'll have 11 when The Rise of Skywalker comes out later this year. But 10, where does this rank for you in all of that right there? Michelle says, read my comment. Michelle, did I miss the comment? She says, I got my second place medal and a third place medal for my Special Olympics events. Well, congratulations, Michelle. I can't get any medals, so that's pretty awesome right there. So the fact that you got a second and a third place, you are doubly better than me at anything, because I can't win any medals at anything. But that's awesome. So yeah, comments, questions, thoughts. I don't know why that thing did that. Let's zoom this back out. I don't know why that did that there. But comments, questions, thoughts about episode 1, where this ranks for you in Star Wars movies rankings. Now, for me, I will say this, and this is probably me opening the door for a lot of hate tonight. I love the prequels. Hear me out. Hear me out. I'm just saying this because the prequels were what I grew up with. They were the movies that I was a Star Wars fan, but I wasn't a humongous part of the fandom until I started watching the prequels. So for episode 1, for me, was my first full step as besides watching it on TV, watching 4, 5, and 6, but for the first time, fully launching myself into this fandom, I love the prequels. Now, taking an objective step back, I will say this. Episode 1 has its flaws, but the way that you get me to like a movie is not by being a cinematic masterpiece with no plot holes, flaws, or anything like that. It is, if you guys have watched, and again, we're not going to talk about spoilers for any other movies, but I'm just referencing, in fact, I won't say the movie, but in a movie, let's say Braveheart, that's a good example because that's not going to ruin it for anybody. You take two sides and run them at each other across a field, I am all about that. And they do that at the very end of this movie. Spoilers for that, for episode 1 if you haven't seen it anyway. Let's see what you guys are talking about in terms of episode 1. I like it because it's the first Star Wars movie I ever saw, so you're kind of similar as me. And I love the epic fight scene in the end. It's the 6th on my list. So 6, not bad, honestly. Autumn, good to see you. What's a movie? It is one of those things where you go to a theater, you sit your butt in a seat, or on a couch and watch it on the TV, and it lasts for at least an hour, usually these days about 3 for certain movies. So, Autumn, I was telling Clint the other day that he needs to go see Endgame, and that's part of the podcast too. # get Clint to Endgame. But anyway, this is not an Endgame stream. This is a Star Wars stream for Star Wars Day. So yeah, I'm glad that you don't rank it super low, but I can understand it being somewhat low. Daniel says, to me, you can watch the saga out of order. 4, 5, 2, 3, 6, episode 1. So you're going with the whole learn about Darth Vader storyline, where you get to that iconic moment in 5, and then you switch back and follow his history, and then you finish it out. So I've seen that before too, and I subscribe more to the let's watch it the way it's meant to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, now 9, and now with 2 in the middle. Anyway, we'll talk about those in just a second as well. Let's see. Daniel, I rank it next to last. That's harsh, my friend. That's harsh. You're not alone. I also grew up with the prequels. Keep in mind, I was 9 when episode 1 came out, Daniel says. So, Daniel, you and I are right about the same age then, because let's see, it came out in 1999, wasn't it? So I would have been, no, I'm a little bit older, I think. I would have been probably 12 or 13 or something like that. So I was old enough to kind of grasp everything, but anyway. So there's that. Episode 1, we can talk about the Jar Jar stuff. I am not so much a fan, but an apologetic for Jar Jar. So I'm not going to bore you guys tonight with Jar Jar stuff. But he's not the worst thing to ever happen in cinematic history. That's A Wrinkle in Time. I said I wasn't going to do it again, but I did it. I took a shot at A Wrinkle in Time. I'm sorry. It wasn't good. I'm going to be nice now. I said I was never going to be not mean to Disney movies, but there it is. Daniel has confirmed that it came out in 1999. Thank you for clarifying that, sir, because I would have been left out left out with wrong information there. All right, let's keep moving right along here. Episode 1, I think that's kind of my take on that one so far. Let's move into Episode 2, the Attack of the Clones. Alex likes Jar Jar too. Thank you, Alex. I knew you liked you. See, I can see how many people are watching at a certain time, and it kind of dipped down as soon as I said I like Jar Jar. I knew that was coming, but I got it done early, so there it is. All right, thoughts, opinions, comments, questions you have about Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, in the discussion tonight. Bring all that down there in the chat window, and let's discuss this one right now. Now, I'll tell you that Attack of the Clones is very high up there for me. Now, I know I'm asking you guys, too, to give me where it kind of falls in your rankings. I don't have mine prepared tonight, but I will tell you that Attack of the Clones is very high up there for me. It's not the best. It's not top 3. It'd probably be a top 5. And I know, I've heard the gripes, the complaints. And please, if you have those same gripes and complaints, please share them here tonight as well. Because I'm not saying I'm going to judge you for having that opinion about Attack of the Clones. I know that Hayden Christensen's seemingly portrayal of Anakin Skywalker was whiny, was wooden being the description of his acting style in that. I will say this, I don't think Episode 2 is a good indicator of his acting prowess. It is, however, a good indicator of his range. How he can go from what seems like bad to really good as well. So I think he gets a lot of flack for that. Natalie Portman, too, she's kind of had an on and off history with Star Wars. I think there's a lot of things that really have people focus in on Episode 2 as the worst part. And you might hear some in the thunder in the background. Hopefully that won't affect our stream tonight. But you see a lot of focus on this one as the bad one. And I love it. Because, again, if you take two sides, run them across the field at each other, and they do it in epic fashion, this one, that is where I love these movies. I love the Attack of the Clones. When you see the clone army arrive, I've just had a revelation. A certain movie that I've seen recently also had a scene similar to this where two sides amass on either sides of each other. And it was epic. It was the same feeling that movie gave me that I've gotten for Attack of the Clones. I like Jango Fett. I like that you finally got to see a lot of different worlds, whether it be Camino, Geonosis, even though Geonosis is another carbon copy of basically Tatooine. At the time it was new, with the bugs and all that kind of stuff. I love it. And I would argue that Hayden Christensen and George Lucas played the character of Anakin Walker to a T. Exactly what it's supposed to be. A whiny, spoiled child who basically, this is what was going to make him susceptible to the dark side. I think it was brilliant on their part. And I know I'm in the minority in that aspect, but I understand for people's opinions on that. Let's see. Daniel, Episode 2 is my least favorite, still better love story than Twilight. I don't think there's many worse love stories than Twilight. Yeah. I don't blame Hayden for his performance. I blame Lucas. I don't blame either of them, as I just said. I think they played it perfectly. I just think... I don't know how to say this. I think people are a little too harsh on it sometimes. But again, that's my opinion. And you're obviously have yours as well, which are perfectly fine. Alex said, I love the epic battle involving all the Jedi fighting droids. It's ninth for me. And I understand that it falls somewhat further down. But for me, it's definitely a top 5 movie. If it's on TV, I'm more than likely stopping to watch some part of it, if not all of it. Let's not forget the awesome music and Count Dooku as well. Yeah, the music's great in the prequels. I think that's one thing that you will never find an argument for, is the music. You know, John Williams did something amazing with the original trilogy, and then he's able to pull off something even, I won't say better, but different, and even is equally epic with the prequel music, and that's why I love it. You know, the Duel of the Fates is now played not just for Star Wars, but for other like epic moments when people are making their own movies and stuff like that. So, yes, the music is amazing. Daniel said, I also prefer the Anakin from the Clone Wars miniseries. Yeah, I think if I had seen what was his name? God, I'm forgetting the actor, but what was the guy's name? Anyway, he did a great job voice acting for Anakin in the Clone Wars, and I think that's the more favorable of the two. But anyway, we got what we got, and I think harping on it, which I'm not saying anybody's doing here, but like, you know, it's not a healthy thing to do. Let's give Hayden a little bit of a break. All right, let's keep moving right along here, and you got to finish off a trilogy with. Again, I'm opening up myself for a lot of ridicule here. I understand that. This is my. Ooh, man. I can never make a decision. It's either my first or my second favorite. Probably my first favorite movie, The Revenge of the Sith. The culmination of the story of Jarf? I combined Jar Jar and Darth. Of Darth Vader. And wow, what an epic story here. Again, we can complain about Anakin and, you know, Hayden's portrayal of him, but again, I think it was perfect portrayal of him. So, before I go too much any more into my thoughts, I want to hear your thoughts about Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Obviously, tell me where it falls. You don't have to give me a specific number, but give me like, I'd say this was in my bottom 5, my top 5. This is definitely last, all that kind of stuff. I think Revenge of the Sith will do what did for the prequels what I think Episode 9 will do for the sequel trilogy. Will make it a little bit more favorable with those that lost some faith in it, and that's understandable. I get the complaints, I understand them, but at the same time, this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, Star Wars movie. Again, you get to visit cool new worlds. There's the whole war aspect. There's space battles. There's the love story at the end of it. You get to see at the end of this movie, for the last 30 minutes or so, all those little threads that were leading towards the original trilogy come to fruition, whether it be the birth of Luke and Leia, Yoda going into hiding, Obi-Wan going into hiding as well, the rise of Darth Vader, the Death Star makes its first appearance. A little bit of a plot hole there, I think, but you see that as well. This movie, for me, also hit me at a time where I was graduating from high school. I think it was 2005, right? 2005. So for me, this was my Star Wars, and the prequels were my Star Wars growing up. It doesn't mean that they're better for everybody, but for me, just watching the vehicles change, leading toward, like, for instance, here in the poster, you can see the Jedi Starfighters, which are clearly starting to look like TIE fighters, especially with those windows. For me, Revenge of the Sith is possibly number 1, because I'm still debating if it is or not, but it's definitely top 2. Alex, this is my first movie, and I'm going to get some water here, actually. This is my first movie in a theater, and it was awesome. I love when Anakin becomes Darth Vader. I love Kashyyyk. It's second for me. So, Alex and I, you're like the same person as me, man. I love it. Episode 3 ranks 4th on my list. Daniel, I'm glad that it's up there for you. I still remember my audience in the theater laughing when Darth Vader's screaming. They were laughing? Man, that's pretty mean. I wonder if that laughing is from, you know, just the angst of Episode 2 and 1. Because I think personally, that's a little mean. But anyway. Alex says, it sucks seeing all the Jedi getting massacred all over the galaxy. It does, but it was a moment that needed to happen for the heaviness of everything there. And I think it was very much needed for the story. Of course, because there's no Jedi. Let me explain that. Execute Order 66. All right, let's keep moving right along. We got many more to... Whoop, back it up. We got many more to do. And you know, I'm kind of making a switch here. I was going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I was going to go on to, the standalone movies. But if we're talking about chronological order, we need to talk chronological order. Solo, a Star Wars story, for me, is the movie that I put in my top 1 or 2. I know I am not your typical Star Wars fan. I love Solo. I said it, everybody can hear it. I love Solo, a Star Wars story. Judge me all you want. I love it. It's amazing. It's one of my favorites. Solo, a Star Wars story. It tells, I think they played this one perfectly. I think it suffers from the backlash of The Last Jedi. It's amazing. I love Solo Star Wars. The beginning of Chewie and Han, of Lando and Han. You get to see character. You get to meet new characters, new places, the heist type of feel. This one suffered from the backlash of Last Jedi and then changing directors and all that stuff. And it still made a brilliant movie. It's my favorite of all the new ones, but it's my favorite maybe of all time. Solo and Revenge of the Sith are right up there with each other. So your thoughts, and I've already kind of given you mine, but what are your thoughts on this one? One thing I forgot to mention, Daniel said about Episode 1, I think how Lucas visualized the difference between Sith and Jedi by Qui-Gon sitting down and Darth Maul strutting around. Yes, I think that's a great imagery there. So I think George Lucas gets a lot of flack because of Episodes 1 and 2, his directorial debut, because a lot of people think he did the original trilogy, but he produced, he didn't direct. Spielberg did one. Who else did another one? But anyway, there were other directors involved in those ones, which I think you kind of see. He got to tell the story finally that he wanted. But Solo Star Wars story, I hope you guys, if you don't like it, will find a way to appreciate that one a little bit more when you can. And let me just go back over here real quick. I've got my comments also on the bottom here. Trying to keep up with them just in case the stream is going. But yes, share with me right now your comments about that movie as well. Solo, for me, I think my favorite character in that one is Donald Glover's Lando Calrissian. I think it's the perfect way to portray that character at such a young age, and I think he does a brilliant job at it. So I love Solo, a Star Wars story. Alex says, I really enjoyed Solo. It's 5th for me. I'm surprised you had it down at 5th, because you and I have been such, the same at this right now, and I'm surprised that you don't have it higher along with me here. So I've turned on the air as well, guys. If it's too loud, please let me know. I'll try to cut it back down. It's very hot down here right now. That's what I was doing as well. Solo Star Wars movie, nobody asked for. To me, it's meh. Well, by that token, nobody asked for the Rogue One anyway. I mean, we loved it when we got it, and I would argue that it's a fine movie at the end. A Rogue One. Oh, well, let's save that when we get there. I will go to war for Solo, a Star Wars movie, because I hated the amount of hate that it got. I don't get up in arms about Star Wars opinions, but I will for Solo, a Star Wars story. So that's my take on that. Let's keep moving. Your next standalone, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which this was a story that everybody wanted told. Many Bothans died to get these plans. But I think that's the second Death Star when they say that. So your thoughts, your opinions, comments, questions, all that stuff about Rogue One in the chat window, please. And tell me, where this ranks for you. Rogue One, for me, it's a great movie all the way around. It's just not one of my favorites. And that being said, the ending of Rogue One is one of the best endings of a movie, period. But I don't think an ending can qualify you as one of the best, movies all the way around. I will say this, in terms of the new movies, meaning the newer produced ones, this one's number 2. Solo, Rogue One, and then some others I'll get to in a second. Rogue One had, you get to see Darth Vader in his full epicness, and it's awesome with the way he does his lightsabering in that small corridor. You get to see a space battle to the level of in the originals, and it's starting to connect. It's the connective tissue for Episode 3 and Episode 4. So I loved it. I think it's a great movie, but I also don't have it very high in my ranking. It is not a top 5 movie. The ending, that's a top 5 ending, but not for me. Alex says, I hated all the hate that Solo got too. Daniel says, George Lucas wrote and directed Episode 4, then didn't direct anything for 20 years until he decided to make Famous. That's correct. You are right, Daniel. And I knew I was going to probably have something wrong there, but I think he did direct that one. As you probably already looked it up. But yes, people's opinion is that Episode 5 is the best of all time. That's an argument worth having, but I think there's also arguments for other movies, and I think a lot of people's opinion comes because they prefer George Lucas not to be directing. And you see that people with those opinions, George Lucas isn't directing in the movies that they love, and he is in the movies they don't like. It's just, I think it's all taste. I enjoyed it, loved the way they used Darth Vader, especially that ending. The team was perfectly cast for me. The space battle was really cool. It's 4th. Yeah, and I get why this one's so high. That ending was so epic. Daniel says Rogue One was okay. My issue is that I'm having a hard time remembering the characters. Love the climax. Rey, Andy and Cassian Andor. Baze Malbus. I love Baze Malbus in this one. Chirrut Inway and Bodhi Rook was the TIE pilot. Who else in them? Oh, K2SO. How can you forget K2SO? One of the best robots to be produced in a Star Wars movie. Probably a fan favorite, almost to the level of BB-8 now. I think K2SO is awesome. And we're getting a Cassian Andor, streaming TV show on Disney Plus. You're going to see him in K2SO again. It's going to be awesome. All right. We got to keep moving here. We got plenty more to go through. We're only like halfway through. Episode 4, where it all began. We've talked about the prequels, the connective tissue stories in between 3 and 4. Let's talk about the original Star Wars, A New Hope, as it came to be known later on. For this, I would say this. Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back did something for pop culture, what I think Avengers Endgame is doing now for this generation. These 2 movies coming up are amazing, and I don't think there's any other way. Sorry, my cat is acting up down here. I don't think there's any other way to pay homage to them without, saying the importance of them. I will tell you this, that when Episode 4 is on, I stop and watch because I love Episode 4. It's the original, It's one of the best. So I want to know your thoughts, your opinions about it. Where does this rank? All that kind of stuff. Alex says K2SO was a great. Alan Tudyk plays a good voiceover character, doesn't he? He's really good and talented at that. The story of Luke. The story, his begins here, and it's an epic journey that we go on together, and I think it's an amazing, amazing movie where you get to meet Han in his glory. Here's the big question. Who shot first? I love taking the opposite sides, especially the minority sides, certain debates in Star Wars. Episode 2 is my favorite. There you go. I love Jar Jar. Han did not shoot first. What was in the original cut is what happened. You can go back and retroactively. It's the same argument with Endgame. They can go back and change you do things to affect the future by affecting the past, but that doesn't change. It's confusing. It's time travel, all that kind of stuff. You can't change your future by just inserting a clip there. Greedo shot first. Han did not. I will argue that to the death with anyone there. But I would love to hear, did Han shoot first from you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section what you think about that, because I think that's one that everyone loves to debate, and I understand why, because it is one of those hotly contested topics over time. But Han did not shoot first, I promise you. All right, episode 4. I know I'm kind of not giving this one its full due, but we got to keep moving here. And did I want to move this one over there? There we go. All right, we'll pull up our next one. I think someone put a comment here. A couple of comments. Whoa, they all just came through all of a sudden. Daniel says, my second favorite of all of them, Greedo shot first. Thank you, Daniel. You and I are on the same team. Lucas changed the movie beyond recognition. You know, that I will say, my one gripe with George Lucas is him going back and adding those, not adding scenes in, but just adding unnecessary stuff. And I think if you asked him now, he would say, yeah, that was probably too much. But you can't blame him at the time. The technology he originally wanted for these movies wasn't out. He finally gets the chance to do it, and you can't help him for trying, or blame him for trying. So I understand, but in hindsight, it probably wasn't the best decision to add in all that fluff to these movies, because they didn't need it. They were good, but it's what gave us the prequel trilogies, whether you like that or not. Him testing those out. So yeah. I also enjoy. This is Alex. I also enjoy watching the movie. Ben Kenobi fighting Vader was cool. The whole cast together had great chemistry. I'm actually going to remove Solo and out A New Hope in 5th. Okay, well, retroactive changing rankings here. I love it. All right, your thoughts on The Empire Strikes Back. I know I keep saying that I'm not going to have controversial opinions anymore, but here's my controversial opinion. The Empire Strikes Back is overrated. I said it. I'm sorry. The Empire Strikes Back is overrated. And there are people comparing Empire Strikes Back with Avengers Endgame right now, and I understand the analogy. I disagree, which probably means that Avengers Endgame is going to be called overrated in my old age. I love Empire Strikes Back, but if it's on TV, I pass over it. I've seen it enough. I love the Hoth battle. I love meeting Lando for the first time. But there's just a lot of stuff in between. I know you meet Yoda for the first time. There's a lot of good moments in this, and it's a great crafted movie. I just don't like it that much. Not as much as the other ones. So, your thoughts, your opinions about Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Daniel says, Episode 5, one of the best sequels ever made, darker and more dramatic. My favorite Star Wars movie. And that's a very common opinion about this one. And it's, honestly, it's probably the truth. I understand that I have a very controversial opinion when it comes to the Star Wars movies. And I embrace that and love the drama of it. But Episode 5 is, again, a great movie, just not my favorite. And then Alex agrees. He says it's the greatest Star Wars movie ever made. It's number 1. In my opinion. But I get your side of the argument. So I'm glad that you guys understand where I'm coming. I'm so tired of hearing it talked about. I'm so tired of hearing it, called the greatest movie ever. And I get it. Y'all just said it's yours, but I skip over it when it's on TV. If Episode 6 is on, I watch it. If Episode 4 is on, I watch it. If the prequels are on, even 1, I stop and watch it. I don't have a desire to watch Empire Strikes Back again. Maybe if it's on Hoth. Hoth I'll stop on. But anyway. Pamela, good to see you. Happy May the 4th. Kyle, May the 4th be with you. Yes, all that good stuff. And also with you. We are more than halfway through our journey through Star Wars. And thank you for joining up with us on this journey. So let's move right along. The Return of the Jedi which was named something else a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. What was the former name of that? I'll tell you in a second. Right now, your thoughts, your opinions, your comments about Return of the Jedi, and also, again, where does it rank? Number is fine, but give me just an idea. Top half, top 2, top 3, top 4, bottom 3, all that kind of bottom. Return of the Jedi to me is a dark horse for me in terms of entertainment value. This is the one that I remember as a child seeing a lot of, and I know it was because it was the most recent one and about the time that I was coherent as a child and we can remember things. I remember video games that weren't too old about Return of the Jedi. And so I knew about Jabba. I knew about the Sarlacc thing. It used to scare the living daylights out of me. I knew about the Death Star, Endor. This was the movie that got me probably started on Star Wars. So it does have a special affinity in my heart as a Star Wars film because of what it did for me as a fan. So Return of the Jedi for me is up there. I would say Solo, Revenge of the Sith, Episode 2. I'm not putting them in order right now, but I'm just kind of trying to think if it is in my top 5. Probably Episode 4 and Rogue One. So Revenge of the Sith is probably sitting at number 6, ironically. Episode 6 is at number 6 for me. So, that's kind of where I feel on it. I think it's a great movie, belongs in the front half of all this stuff, whereas some of the other ones fall into the back half for me. Daniel says, my only issue with Revenge of the Jedi, which is what it was formerly called, the Ewoks, that's it. Love the fight between Luke and Vader much more than this. I rank it 5th. I think it deserves to be about that 5, somewhere between 4 and 7 in people's rankings. I think that's a fair assessment of this movie. I think it's got some flaws, but I think the entertainment value of this one is very good. Ooh, mouth seems dry. Alex says, really cool movie. Luke is more powerful, which is so cool. Great space battle, 7th on my list. So right where I sit, right in there. So good job agreeing with me on those rankings there. All right, we have plenty more to get done here, so let's keep moving right along. And let's do what kicked off the new era, Star Wars The Force Awakens. When this trailer came out, I lost my mind. Lost my ever-loving mind. It's amazing. It's awesome. I was so excited about this movie. It's going to be epic. The beginning of a new era in Star Wars. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions, put them all in the chat window. Let's hear about it. Pamela says, I've got to go eating dinner with and have a wonderful evening. Can't wait for Disney Trivia on Thursday. Take care, Kyle. Thank you so much, Pamela, for being here for a little while. I appreciate that. We'll see you on Trivia Thursday nights. So Episode 7. I think this one did a great job of capturing the magic of Star Wars in terms of introducing a new lead, hearkening back to the past, finishing some old stories that needed to be finished, that the actors wanted to be finished. Spoiler alert, Han dies. I thought in that moment Chewie was going to die. And somebody else was talking, I think it was Disney Dan, Rob Fuzz, and I forget the other guy's name. They were doing their stream right before mine, and they said that they thought Chewie was going to die in that moment too. But Han does die. I think we all knew it was coming. I had to wait a week after this one was released before seeing it. Do you know how bad that killed me? I saw this on Christmas Day night by myself because Jessica was at work at the hospital. We had a busy week before then, and then we were at Disney World for almost a week at Christmas time. So I'm walking around Disney World in Hollywood Studios right after this is released. Do you know how hard it was to go unspoiled? Oh, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. But I knew what was coming just out of speculation. So, anyway. Daniel says, Force Awakens, I rank it third. Sure, a lot of rehash from episode 4, but still love it. And I think here's the thing, you can rehash if you can recapture the magic. And it did a good job of ushering in Star Wars to a new generation. That's why this one's important. This one, for me, I want to put it in my top 5, but I love the anthology movies, Solo and Rogue One. I love 2 and 3. I love 4, and then there's episode 6 as well. So The Force Awakens, for me, I want to put it higher. I just can't in my rankings of watching it. And I love Phasma too. Daniel says, also Harrison Ford wanted Solo to die in episode 6. Took 30 years, but he got his wish. So just, one episode late, 30 years later. Alex says, I saw this opening night with my dad and our friends. When that music hit, I was so happy. Loved the new characters that were introduced. Poe is a great pilot. Kylo is great. It's third for me. I think Poe has been underutilized a little bit, and it hurts my heart that he's been underutilized. I like Oscar Isaac in this role, and I think he's not been given a lot to do with this. Chris, I wanted here earring. Chris Hansen is one of Harrison Ford's earring dead. Yeah, I think he does wear an earring from time to time, but to each their own. It's not my preference. I don't understand piercing anything just because I don't want to have anything poked through my skin. But hey, to each their own. But yes, he didn't wear it for this one. All right, so that's episode 7. Let's talk about this one. I couldn't get to. It's got this random white lines there. Anyway, just deal with it. The Last Jedi. Love it or hate it? A lot of people hate it. We had somebody come in and comment on our video. What was it? I forget which video we did in our channel, but they saw me wearing a Last Jedi t-shirt, and they assumed that I think I was going to be in the camp of defending a Last Jedi a lot, and thus they made the judgment that they weren't going to like the video. But then they watched us. It was the Star Wars reaction video. And then they watched it like, oh, these guys are great. That's the thing, is we have our opinions, but we're not going to judge you for yours. We're going to have lively debate. We're not going to judge you for them. So don't rush to judgments on people. It's a lesson. I agree with you on Poe. Now that you're mentioning it, Daniel says, yeah, I think Poe is a character that's been very, not wasted, underutilized. We'll see what happens in this one. I love Oscar Isaac so much. All right, The Last Jedi, your thoughts, your opinions, all that good stuff. Love it, hate it. The more I go away from The Last Jedi, the more I don't like it. The ending scene again with the battle of them standing across from the First Order, and Luke stands there in all his glory, as we think he is, and takes on the First Order, I thought was amazing. And to me, it felt a little hollow when it became a hologram. And I don't think it was so much the hologram as it was him dying at the end of it. So my thing about The Last Jedi is this: Ryan Johnson is a great director. I will never, ever be able to walk on the same directing ground as him. This, to me, felt like somebody who wanted to one-up a certain area of fandom and kind of say, ha ha, I got you kind of thing. And it just felt like a lot of times he wanted to answer the questions that we had about The Force Awakens without answering them. It just felt like a mind game, whereas The Empire Strikes Back continued the story. This one continued the story without solving anything, in my opinion. So The Last Jedi, for me, is not up there. It is one of my least favorite movies overall in the Star Wars franchise. However, there are some great, epic moments in this one. I've already talked about that ending scene there. The Dreadnought, launching through the Dreadnought there, that sound it made in the theater was amazing. Just for me, overall, I didn't like that there wasn't a time jump in between the episodes. That doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. This one does not rank up there high for me. Daniel says, I don't hate it. I found it so disappointing. Had some great moments, but feels a bit too Disney-fied, if that makes sense. I actually don't understand that. I don't know what Disney-fied means to you. I don't think, and honestly, what Disney-fied means to me is it doesn't feel Disney-fied to me. So I think you and I have different definitions of that. It was a lot of wasted opportunity. You know, if you're going to have The Last Jedi, you know, type of title in there, I think you could have done some things different with it. But anyway, I'm not the director. Rian Johnson's a much more brilliant director than I'll ever be, and he had his reasons. I just didn't agree with him. So anyway, The Last Jedi, still a great movie. I love watching all Star Wars movies, but not my favorite. Daniel said J.J. Abrams should have just been given the right to do the full trilogy. I think so as well. I think we missed an opportunity there with him not being able to do that. So hopefully they've learned their lesson, which they have, by bringing him back. I think the thing is that Kathleen Kennedy and the powers that be decided they wanted to champion other directors, and that's why they didn't give it to him. I mean, I know there were some other reasons, but they just wanted this to be kind of like Star Wars, where you had a different director each time, as opposed to one singular vision, which I think is what this needed. Alex says, I'm in the minority of people who actually liked it. They definitely should have been more lightsaber fights. Rian Johnson was given too much freedom. It's dead last, but I do like certain things. And I think that's a fair way to assess it. You can still love The Last Jedi like I do, but it just has some things that in it that don't sit well with me, such as the one-upmanship, the arrogance with which some of this was approached. So there's that. Anyway. And Alex says, I do enjoy Rian Johnson's movie. They're great movies. He's a great director. This was not one of his best. And then that brings us to the end of all this. I almost said The Force Awakens. The Rise of Skywalker. Now, I know we can't talk about it in great detail because we haven't seen it yet. It's, 7 months away? My anticipation for this movie and what it's going to mean for the future of this franchise, I don't know that I can handle Avengers Endgame and the Rise of Skywalker, the end of the Skywalker story, in 1 year. I literally think I might not make it out of that movie theater in December. After I have no more feelings to give. Infinity War, I thought, took them all. The last bit of them went with Endgame. I still am trying to process that. What is your excitement level for Star Wars? Are you nervous? Are you more nervous than excited? Let me know about that in the comments section here, because I think this one, I think J.J. Abrams, while has some hoops to jump through because of The Last Jedi, I think he and the powers that be will find a way to send this trilogy off in fine fashion. Now, what it means past this, I don't know. Much like Avengers, I feel like we are going to be, the Marvel movies, not the Avengers, we're going to be in kind of a state of, we're moving forward, but not really. We're just biding time till we can set up the next thing. And I think that's a smart thing to do. I think you can still tell stories without moving forward. They're doing it with The Mandalorian. I think that in the Cassian Andor thing, I think a good 5-year delay in beginning something else, and it doesn't have to be a 5-year delay in like no news. I think if you let it sit for about 2.5 years and then you start dropping the rumors, episode 10 is coming, folks. Get ready. 2.5 years later. 5 years, I feel like, is when we need to see something new from them. The Rise of Skywalker, I think, is going to reignite the fandom, and then they're going to let you just sit on it and wait and wait and wait. So when episode 10 comes out, no one's going to remember The Last Jedi. They're going to be just waiting for the next story of the Star Wars universe, which is going to be awesome. Alex says, my list is going to look so different if this movie is great, which I hope it is. And I think honestly, everyone who's objective is hoping that this on December 19th is going to be a huge hit. Because I don't understand why if you're not, I don't understand why you're even watching Star Wars movies. That just kind of seems pointless. I just think, in the grand scheme of things, this one is going to probably crack my top 5. But we'll find out. We certainly will. I feel like they're, 2 years at the most to do another film. Do you mean 2 years to do a film? Like that 2 years we have another one? Or 2 years and we get some announcement? I'm not saying that I don't think they don't do another film. I wonder if they tell some more interconnecting stories in between all of that stuff. We all still wonder if they're going to bring out the Obi-Wan movie. There's been people that want a Boba Fett movie, or for them the two be connected. Some people want a Maul movie. I think they're best served to not continue the story for a good 3 to 5 years. I think this thing needs to go off with a bang, and I think it needs some time for people to sit and reflect. Same thing with Avengers. I think it's time to take a breather for a little bit. But anyway, so that is my thoughts and opinions for all the Star Wars movies. We went a lot longer on that than I thought we would. So we're not even going to talk about Galaxy's Edge, the TV shows, all that kind of stuff. We did mention this holiday special, which is tragic, I hear. But yeah, Alex says probably 2 years till we see another film. So he's saying that we will see one of these films, another film in 2 years, meaning it's ready to go. Anyway, that's all my thoughts and opinions. I know it was kind of scrambled and all that kind of stuff, but I enjoy doing this. Again, I'm going to try to do more live streams when there's something that's really prevalent to talk about, so make sure you have hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all this. Share us out with your friends. We are marching ever closer to that 1,000 subscriber mark. We had our streaming taken away from us because we're not 1,000 subscribers from our phones, which we utilized heavily. And so that's the main reason, honestly, we want to get to 1,000 now. So if you haven't, share us out with your friends. Hit the like button. Comment in the videos. Help us spread out to other Disney fans. And let's continue to build our little family within the Disney family. If you haven't, come on over to Facebook. Join our community over there. Disney Through Your Eyes, where you can talk about Disney stuff. Love to see you all there. And check out all our videos on our channel. That's all I have for you on this edition of I2I. Until we assemble again, may the Force be with you. And we'll see you real soon. Bye, guys.